Hi, folks. Thanks so much for joining us on this gorgeous looking Thursday afternoon. My name is Bumanlag for LePage Binder Real Estate. Very happy to have you for another live stream. LePage Binder Live. We do this often on our social media channels to engage with you and our audience and to get to know a lot of our sales representatives and different folks who represent LePage Binder right across Windsor, Essex County with the different brokerages that we have here in the region. It's a weekly chat, again, with those representatives right across Windsor and Essex County. We've been doing this for about like 14 episodes now. We've heard from so many sales teams and individuals, people who are rooted not only in the community, but also invested in the community, in the success of Windsor, Essex County, folks who have been here, who give to charitable causes. And we're going to do something a little different today. My guests on the show, I've actually known for quite some time. Goes back to my AM 800 days where I had a chance to do some fantastic stories with the family. They're very community rooted and they just are wonderful people to deal with. I'm very excited to welcome a couple of folks here on the show. We've got Team Coffin. We've got Mike Coffin and Amy Bondy who are joining us live on the stream today. Guys, what's going on?
Hey, good afternoon, Arms. Everything's good.
Oh, it's what a pleasure to talk to you both. And yeah, I mean it. I mean, the last kick at the can, so to speak, I had was to talk to Amy and, your family about some fantastic work you guys have done with the Windsor Essex County Humane Society just before I came on board. So I just wanted to say it's just great to reconnect once again. And you guys had an interesting angle to this show, right? You wanted to do something a little different there. So I'm going to let you guys take it away about what you wanted to do for this particular live stream.
Well, Arms, we are going to flip the tables today. Amy and I are going to interview you.
Okay.
And we want to, we're very interested in interviewing you and tapping into your vast knowledge of social media. Yeah. We want to explore some of your successes, sure. Your can-dos and your how-dos. And we want to help our small business community and charities and other organizations that have really struggled over the last 19 months with the shift in everything of what they do. And we want to come out of this with some nice positive information that will help them move forward.
I just think that's well, thank you, first of all, I should say that. And yeah, I'm game. And I mean, thank you for calling me a quote unquote expert. I don't think I'm an expert. I just think that, social media often is something that folks can do and do well. And it's a learning process for a lot of folks, but it's also an arena where people can do trial by error, right? And it shouldn't be a concrete plan. Like, working with you guys at LePage Binder Real Estate, coming into it and talking to Frank and Michelle back in April, I said, we have a plan, we have a strategy, but we're also able to flip it and take a look at it and maybe run some of those metrics to see what's working, what's not working, and really curtail it to what you want to be perceived as in the community. So, hey, wait, I'm rambling. Go ahead. Have at her, as they say.
That's okay, Arms. I'm old. I'll start rambling at some time too. Amy will jab me and we'll get back on track. So go ahead, Amy.
So we wanted to just go over a little bit of the social media because of the unprecedented times that we're in and the stress that charities and small businesses are under. That this, like you said, this is something that can be done. It can be done well and it is flexible. So if something's not working, they can turn the tables and continue on. So we would like to get into some of the, 5 or 6 maybe key points that you have that can help them start the process and grow their clientele and grow their online presence.
Sure. And that's a great question too. I in my experience through broadcast here locally in Windsor for over 20 years between public and private sectors, I've always put forward the concept of community, right? I've always tried to say, okay, if I'm going to get that news story from Toronto for whatever's happening on that lens, I know that they're going to cover it. I'm going to be honest with you. I can get that anywhere. From a business lens, I get that anywhere. So what are you doing for that particular story lens, or in the case of a business or an organization, the story, right? Because everything is a story. Commercials, a story, content are stories. What am I doing to really give folks here within Windsor, Essex County, and Chatham-Kent value to say, hey, this is great content that I can consume? So I like to go back to the 3 C's. What is the content that I'm creating that reflects the culture I'm trying to create? And what is the value to the community into which I serve? And I think, when I used to do the experts on call on AM 800 for 12 years, folks would come on the air with me just from a radio lens and say, well, I'm so terrified of doing this. I said, well, don't. Because if you watch HGTV and you watch TLC and you see guys like Mike Holmes, those shows are commercials. Property Brothers, that's a commercial, right?
Yeah.
But it's content that people are consuming. So, a lot of businesses and a lot of organizations who have worked with me over the years, I've always tried to complement the on-air work with the social media, right? So you don't want to give away the baby with the bathwater. Now, moving into strictly social media is what I do, certainly from a Humane Society perspective lenses. How do we really make this impactful and meaningful content? And from a Royal LePage Binder lens, it's, what is the story behind Royal LePage? Frank Binder has been rooted in the community for years. He's seen it all. He's got brokerages across Windsor and Essex County. How do we highlight that community lens? So for a lot of folks who are struggling because of COVID, and through my wife and I's company, Little Heart Social, which the company was founded, just after I left the CBC. Little Heart stands for my son's heart, because as folks know, my son has a number of congenital heart defects. So we thought this would be a good way for us to, quite honestly, put some money aside for him for post-secondary education, and really connect with individuals and make that connection in Windsor, Essex. So when we take that lens and take a look at folks who need that help, it's like, how do we really deconstruct who they are online? How do they want to be perceived? And then it's also being consistent. And that's the biggest issue. I'm not going to make any qualms about it, Mike and Amy. It's a lot of work. You guys know. And it's constantly thinking, and constantly it's at that broadcasting lens, taking a look at what's valuable, or what do I want to promote? What can I make those connections with? And then having that consistency in the branding. So I think that's the biggest first step, is like taking a look at your content, the community that you're trying to cultivate, and the culture you're trying to permeate online.
Well, I think that covers some really good points, Arms, and it kind of talks about where we come from. That it answers the question: is it important to use social media as a small business owner? And I think I'm hearing a resounding yes. I think
Yes.
we can unpack that and agree that that's something that is very necessary. I think some of the obstacles some of the small business owners run into is time. There's a time constraint, and you just touched on that. It takes a lot of time. So I'd like to break it down to maybe if they can do 1 or 2 or 3 things that bring them some small successes.
Sure.
Eventually, they'll create an income stream that maybe they could hire a company to help them with their social media. We happen to know somebody who does that, but it gets them moving forward instead of being stuck in a very uncomfortable position. So, assuming who's watching this has zero experience, what would you think is the most important thing to do to get started?
Just get started, right?
Okay.
I'm going to flip it a bit here. And, I've been wanting to do my own. I've been doing live streams are for me, I'm putting a lot of resources into the live streams. I feel like a lot of the content that I've been reading, and I've said this to Frank Binder, and certainly from a Humane Society perspective too, there's some pretty startling statistics in terms of video content creation, for everything from TikTok to what we're doing here live on Facebook and on LinkedIn. That this content is so easily accessible, and you can cultivate that content down the line too. So getting started is huge. But when I wanted to do my own live show for the community, kind of like what I used to do on AM 800 and CTV, essentially, I had a lot of folks say to me, "Oh, well, you got to maybe pre-record it because it's got to be perfect." And I've never subscribed to that in my entire broadcast career. I actually hated recording things. I always like to go live, because I would always say that if you could do it live, then you'll get better at it. It's like riding a bike. So for folks who are watching this and may not have that experience, is just continually do the content, figure out what your strategy is in terms of, what you want to convey, and just keep doing it and tweak it as you go. Right. You don't have to necessarily do live streams right away, but, photos of your business, photos of your organization, doing a lot of the flyers and things on Canva and all that stuff is good, but really make it personable. I think we talked off air a bit about, anybody can throw a quote board up or a testimonial, but it's like, no, I want to know who these people are. Are they real people? Give me that experience. So, but that requires a bit of a deeper dive. So I think, as a business owner like you guys, if you take a look at, who you are as individuals and what you are about, the stories are there, just kind of uncovering them from turning a rock over and saying, this is how we're going to present ourselves.
And the one benefit I think with social media is it really breaks that barrier and allows people to get to know you. quickly, much faster. And they can, if they're doing research online and they're looking for a particular business, they're able to really get a sense of who they're going to be working with prior to meeting you.
Absolutely. It's always like your first point of contact, right?
Yeah.
And it's that instant gratification, which is also a double-edged sword. I'm going to be 100% honest, right?
Yes.
It's no longer 9 to 5, right? It's sort of like, feast or famine, as I say. But it's that first point of contact. And I mean, I'm guilty for it too, right? It's like I'll message something and I won't get a response right away on Facebook. And then I'll say, oh yeah, I just messaged somebody. But it really is it's a sociable platform. I look at my wife. My wife is 36. And she gets all of her content 24/7 from Instagram and TikTok, and on Facebook as well. But she like anytime there's a new restaurant in town, if there's a lot of the farmer markets that are ramping up now, she's getting all the information from there. So it's like, how can you really tap into that and have that sort of messaging accessible and attractive for folks? So making it personable is huge. And I think a lot of businesses are getting that, but the ones that aren't, you can start to do it and then tweak as you go. And then I always say to folks who look at social media and they look at maybe outsourcing it or contracting out the work, look at the metrics that you get from, always ask for metrics, ask for references. References are huge. Anybody that we work for, I always send out references to, and I encourage them to call, and they will paint you a picture of the good, hopefully the better, and maybe some things that they wish they could have changed too, because I want to be upfront with people that we work with that this is what we're capable of. And if I'm not able to do certain platforms, what we do is we work with a lot of people in tandem, right? We don't work in silos, so we can kind of point you in that direction as well.
That's some good information.
Absolutely.
That's some very good information.
Now, how do you feel about hashtags and their importance?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've never.
I mean, we hear about, you have to tag, you have to hashtag.
Sure.
Are they really effective for someone who's starting out?
I'd say get your look and your branding down, and then start to dive into the hashtags, right? The hashtags are important. I will say that they're sort of a pain sometimes, 100%, but they are important, especially if you're using it on Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, I would say they're important too. But if you're doing some cross content promotion, say I was talking about Team Coffin on my page, I would make sure that I would tag you guys on your page. And then sometimes Facebook's a weird beast, because sometimes they'll let you know if you've been tagged and sometimes they won't. Yeah. They're always changing stuff on Facebook. So because I know Mike and Amy, I will actually message them and say, hey man, like I just posted something with you, appreciate it. So then hey, I'm getting that. So when you share that, hopefully you're dragging some of my audience over. And then when you guys share it, I can also interact as my page. And that's the real key. You don't have to do it all the time, and it doesn't, because sometimes it does come off as disingenuous. But if you can comment as your page on a lot of things and follow up with folks, even if they're just saying good morning as a hello, and I've got to work on that myself. I mean, that's an area, but it does take time. But to engage, because then you're opening up the conversation and you're sort of starting that ladder back and forth. Takes time, but I think the payoff is there as well, because you're creating that community based on your content.
Well, that's another good point. So, we're covering a lot of information in a short period of time and creating I think a workable template for somebody who hasn't really been exposed to engaging the social media. So just in reference to Facebook, because it's one I'm more familiar with, Amy's dragging me into TikTok and
Instagram.
Oh yeah, Instagram. Come on, what's the next best thing? But if somebody was new doing this and they're doing Facebook to start out, what would be a reasonable expectation of, we measure things by likes or comments.
Sure.
What is a number that would make sense?
Baby steps, right? So the number for me would be, likes are good. It's all about the engagement. It's the reach. How many, because people may see your content. See, that's the thing that people need to wrap their heads around. They may see your content, but they may not like it, or they may not interact with it. It's how much are you getting that content on? And then you can break it down to, are they engaging with it? So anything I do too with, say, Facebook, there's a few things that you can tweak to put that same content. And you'd have to change some of the descriptions too, because you can't put links in Instagram. Like you can't say, check out my YouTube page here. You've got to actually put that in the bio. So you have to be a little bit strategic on that. But often what I'll do is, there's an entrepreneur who's all over social media called Gary V. He owns a number of businesses. He does great video content, multimillionaire. And his thing is like always trying to recycle your content. And I try to do that very much so with a lot of the photos and graphics and sort of ads I do on Facebook, is that can we take it and repurpose it maybe with something different with those hashtags on Instagram? And is there a way that I can repurpose that same content for Twitter? TikTok's a little bit different. You talk about kicking and screaming. My wife has been on me to start TikTok, and we'll see. We'll see.
Amy's doing the same thing. She's pushing and pushing. I'm glad she is, because it just expands your exposure. I mean, as as active realtors in a very active office, I don't ever feel we're competing with anybody but ourselves.
For sure.
I wish everybody well in any industry and in any endeavor. Having been self-employed since the age of 17, I understand the highs and the lows and the sleeplessness and whatever.
Sure.
But I think through this interview, and man, I'm telling you, I'm learning some stuff coming back from you that, we'll chat after and implement some of these things and just improve our reach. And that helps our charity. I'm involved with LaSalle Centennial Rotary, and to be able to reach out with them, and blood donations, be able to reach out better with them. Amy with blood donations and the Humane Society, better outreach with them. I think as a community, we just help each other, right?
100%. I think, and I've said this many times on my podcast, right? I've said this to Frank a couple of times, and certainly for the folks at the Humane Society. Coming as an old news guy myself, I don't want to say old, but close to 20 years in the business, private and public sector. I mean, I would sit in news stories and they would say, let's find the conflict. Let's find the conflict between, let's create controversy. And I would sit there and I would say, okay, yeah, you can ask hard questions and you can do that kind of stuff. But I also think we're getting to a point as a society in 2021 in a pandemic where people are like, it's just it's negative constantly. And I think there's some really good stories, and it's not all sunshine and lollipops. I say that to folks all the time. I mean, you can ask tough questions, but I think that if you can do it in a very genuine way, a very forthcoming way, and really, I mean, I have it back here on my office. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a quote here. It says, "We rise by lifting each other up." Absolutely. And I will die on a hill with that and say I think that there is a wide audience in this region that are saying, okay, we get it. We get that but it's anybody can point at a broken window and say it's broken. Let's work collectively together to say, how can we fix this from start to finish?
Over the years, Amy and I and yourself, we've all witnessed this community get drawn together for very good causes, and a variety of causes. And we've probably have one of the most, I feel biased, but I think I'm saying a truthful statement. We have one of the most generous communities. We do. Period. Yeah. We've been kicked, we've been bruised, we've been bumped. And I think some refocusing is not a bad idea. What I heard you say about giving a hand up and helping people rise up. It's really time to do that. It's really time to lift each other right now. As you can see in some of the Facebook posts, whether they're political, whether they're COVID, they're getting silly and they're getting hurtful. It's got to stop. We got to move forward. But back to helping somebody on social media.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what is your favorite app? So let's say contact, from contact management. Sure. I know, here we go. We could do a whole 20 minutes on this. But
we absolutely.
Management to posting or posting in advance. What resonates with you with your most favorite app?
I love, I really, really love Canva. Canva is something that I had no experience going into. I've always had like a design bug in me. I love to design things and make it visually appealing and pop. I love things when they pop and eye grabbing and catchy. So my wife and I we're self-taught on Canva. We've taken a couple of courses and it's trial by error, right? And Canva for me has some tremendous video editing tools too. So it's really a one-stop shop. Like that intro I had for you guys. Yes. I did that entirely on Canva, and I've got a template in place. So when I have different folks from Royal LePage on, I can swap out photos and I get quick at it. But Canva is and it's free. If you want the premium subscription, you can also get that, pay a little bit more for that. So Canva is if you're just starting out in social media, I highly recommend it.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking? You like Canva?
We do. We have.
We do.
Use,
She does.
we do use the Canva,
Yeah.
and it has been extremely helpful, and it's reduced a lot of frustration. Right, being able to put in the information, put in the content. They have the templates, and like you said, making it eye catching. It's appealing, and you're not spending hours at a time doing it. You can do it on the run. You can do it right from your phone. So it is. It really has become a valuable tool that we've used as well.
Yeah, and it's great to have those assets too, right? And I know me coming on board with Royal LePage, I said to Michelle, our marketing director, I said, I really want to build our library of assets. And, by that now is like, a case in point, our golf tournament coming up next week. We've got a number of templates in place for the golf tournament that, next year, 2022, kick at the can, we can kind of just put a fresh coat of paint and away we go.
Yes.
And that's just that's the old broadcaster in me saying, like when we used to have, commercials or promos, it's like, okay, well, we're revisiting this for another year. Let's put a new engine in it, so to speak, and let it run. So I love Canva. And with this streaming platform that we do for Royal LePage and, other organizations that we use, I love it as well. I mean, we were saying before we went live, it's, back in my TV and radio days, I'd run from station to station, from 6 a.m. until 7 o'clock at night to be on air. And now it's like, I put Liam to bed and my mother-in-law's here upstairs and I can go live. So it's a good deal.
Yeah, a lot less redundancy, isn't there?
That's right.
A lot.
100%.
All right.
Well, I think that will help. This information is going to be helpful. I know it's helpful for us. It will be helpful for charities, small businesses, everyone who's trying to, to progress and to increase their presence online. This is a very good start for them and stuff that's practical and easy to do.
Yeah.
And they're hearing it from somebody who's been very successful with it, which, it gives credibility to what we're trying to share with them.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, guys. And I always tell folks, when you take a step back and you say, well, maybe we're at a point right now where we're building the audience where we can get somebody to manage it for us. My wife and I in our company, we're very small, right? So we're a very boutique type of business. So we take great pride when we do get those leads come in for the pages we manage. Like we're almost instantaneous. With passing that information on to the businesses that we're representing in the organizations as well. And then it's also about connecting, right? Like you said, Mike, it's finding if there are fits for folks that you run into and say, hey, I'm doing this really cool project on this particular platform with this particular organization. I think this would be a fit for you. And I used to love doing that stuff at when I was on AM 800 as well, as trying to find those fits for individuals and folks. So I thought it was a pretty interesting way to kind of make those connections here locally.
Well, I'll tell you, this has been a real pleasure. This is a nice, fresh approach to your live feed program, and I'll tell you, Amy and I are very thankful for you allowing us to flip the tables on you, and for you to share what you know. Again, you're just giving back to the community. I mean, it's awesome.
Well, thank you guys. And I want to say a shout out to not only you guys for being great supporters of all the different projects that I'm involved in, but just a quick shout out to Royal LePage. Frank taking a chance on me back in April to say, yeah, let's bring him on board and let's work with him a little bit on a contract basis. And it's been a real pleasure. And I've made some really great friends. Shout out to Michelle and Jenna and Mark, and certainly you guys as well. Just everyone I meet is just, I'm looking to build lifelong connections with you. So it's been a pleasure.
We've got an awesome group, and you just mentioned all those names. They're all awesome people, and you're awesome too.
God bless you, man. Appreciate that.
God bless you too.
Well, we appreciate the time. Okay. So now that we did you got to come back and then I get to do you guys again. Okay. We're going to turn the table around. So
we look forward to it.
I appreciate it. So, of course, all that information for Mike and Amy, I mean, they were interviewing me, but you can still check them out. They got awesome social media too. Go to their Facebook page, or you can find out more on RLPageBinder.com. Folks, I'll see you soon, okay? We appreciate it. Team Coffin on the show with us today. Looking forward to seeing them too at our golf tournament for Royal LePage Binder in the Hiatus House, which is happening Thursday, about a week from now, I believe, at Point West. So there's more information on that as well. You can go to our website, RLPageBinder.com. So hopefully that was something of value to you. And if you were interested in a of course, finding out more about our preferred suppliers and all the folks that we work with at Royal LePage. Again, our website, royallepagebinder.com. That'll do it for this edition of the show. We're back next week. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.